Okay, we will be going live in 10 seconds. Father George, and just to let you know, there is a 10-second lag from what's said on Zoom onto YouTube.
Okay.
We'll just bear that in mind. Meeting is now streaming live on YouTube. Fantastic. So I believe we're live. Okay, so
well, shall we wait a few minutes, because
we can do.
We currently have 0 people looking at the video, so because it's only just gone live.
Did you share the link?
Yeah, we shared the links on our social media.
To the YouTube channel. But how do can we share live chat? 2 people watching, but that could just be me and Flo at the moment.
I'm not on at the minute.
Okay, I'm going to send the link to this exact video on WhatsApp to some groups as well, so they have. Okay, I can't see how many, it says 2 watching now, but we can start and I'm sure more people will come in.
Yep, sure. Right, so I think we'll start. So welcome everybody to CSN, the Catholic Student Network's first talk of many. We're very delighted to have these talks resume back again. We started this back during COVID, and they were all going great for students, and many of our students benefited from these talks. So just a little bit about the Catholic Student Network and who we are. We're an organisation that are here to provide help for students and connecting students with their Catholic societies within the universities. And I think it's a great opportunity to be able to be part of a great network and reaching out to communities and students and just connecting students together. We are blessed to be here live with Father George. We've got amazing use of internet. So although we not be all together, we are here over the net. So let's start with this talk. I'll leave it up to Susanna to introduce our speaker for today.
Yes, so our speaker this evening is Father George. He's a Spanish priest from the Prelature of Opus Dei, who's lived in England for several years in the Diocese of Southwark, and is chaplain at Kelston Club and two schools. He's the author of the I Pray, which you may have heard of, and the book Going on Vocation. I'll leave links to these in the comment section. So yeah, over to you, Father George.
Okay, well, thank you very much for inviting me, and also for asking me to talk about my passion, okay, which is freedom. You see, sometimes they ask me to speak about things that I don't really have a clue about, and then I need to do some research. But with freedom, it's just myself. So this talk is also going to the root of everything, because when you talk about freedom, you're talking about the essence of our lives. You and I were made for love, and love means if you're not free, you cannot do it. Okay, so going to the roots of the whole thing, we were made for love, and love is free. So unless we exercise this power that God paid so expensively, then we're done. Okay, we can achieve many things in life, but unless you and I really are free to love, we are not doing anything with our lives. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to explain a few things on freedom. I really hope that by the end you will have some questions, and then we can make this more interesting. Yes, I can talk for England. I mean, I can speak and speak, and I can say anything on freedom, and then you switch to other topics. I love talking as well in any language. But if you come up with questions, and make sure that you write them down on YouTube, and then I will go more to the topics that you are interested. Okay, but just first of all, to put everything in the frame, Jesus Christ has paid very expensively for your freedom, and so we're obliged to be free. Okay, we really need to exercise this freedom. We are obliged to be free. If you go to the Catechism, which you should sometimes, you find this definition: freedom is the power. It is interesting, the word power. It's empowering you to do something. Freedom is the power rooted in reason and will to act or not to act, to do this or that, and so perform deliberate actions. So it's a power. And it says, it attains its perfection when directed towards God, so towards good. And so you may have heard about freedom from and freedom to. It's a freedom from is just freedom from constraints. Okay, it's a freedom of coercion when we decide to do something and we feel free to do that without impediments. Someone who's in prison, they probably not, having this freedom because they have constraints. Okay, but then you have the freedom of choice. Freedom when you choose, you can choose what you want to do, and obviously, the freedom to perform, autonomously decide, and then perform what you want to do. Okay, so that is freedom, the capacity to affirm and love the good, and this is the key. So freedom is not just a possibility to choose, but the possibility to choose the good. Okay, that's the profession of our freedom. So I will speak also about passions and some other things, but freedom from external coercion, freedom from internal necessity. And so we can be compelled also by our interior passions. Okay, so from necessity or disordered passions, or is that freedom to do the good, adhere to good, choose the good, and love the good. So in the end, our freedom is to love God. Okay, that was the whole point. So freedom for something. I don't know if you know that story. It can be the whole story for this talk on St. John Paul II. And so he was in one of those World Youth Days. He was having lunch with some young people. So you may imagine, people around the table with St. John Paul II. They were asking questions, and I don't know which other questions they asked, but someone asked the Pope, "What do you do with your free time?" And then the Pope, he was master on this, he gave it a reply that gives the whole topic to this session. "What do you do with your free time?" And the Pope smiled and said, "All my time is free." All my time is free. Everything I'm doing is free. You see, even when I fulfill my mission, my duties, I am free. Now, this is the interior freedom that we also will talk about. Okay? You remember, God made you, me, for something, for greatness. And he has given you the possibility to choose if you want to follow or not. Okay, so God made a plan, and you can become, as you remember, the best version of yourself. Okay, we're free to do that. But we will only achieve that if we freely choose the good. Okay? And once you choose it, then you do it your way. Okay? So it's like vocation. Okay? When I mention in this book on vocation, there's a chapter where I explain these things. But you don't choose your vocation. You're not free to choose your vocation. You're free to follow your vocation. Okay? And once you follow it, then you are free to do it your way. All right? So I didn't choose to be a priest. I was called to become a priest. And then I chose to say yes. And now I am a priest my way. Okay, so I'm not like other priests. I don't need to imitate other priests. I imitate the saints. I have my role models. But still, I have to do my own thing. For God has not given me a second-hand vocation that he gave to someone else, and now it's for me. I have my particular vocation. And it has to be my freedom. Okay. Good. So now going into freedom and law, which usually some questions come on that side. How is it possible? It is law sometimes can look like it is forcing our freedom, it's limiting our freedom. Is law opposed to freedom or not? Can I be free in the middle of laws that I need to follow? Well, the truth is obviously that all the norms are there to protect our freedom, also to exercise it in a frame. Okay, but we have the freedom to do something, not freedom to do anything. That doesn't exist. You see, you can think of a hinge of my door. Okay, it has some freedom of movement. Okay, it has some range. It can move 100 degrees. It can move 90 degrees. It can move, I don't know, 300 degrees. Great. But you see, if the wall is at 90 degrees, I don't need it to open more than 90 degrees. Now, it's more free if you can open it. Well, it's going to be hitting the wall. So I don't need that freedom, right? Now, in terms of a hinge is easy, but imagine the articulation, your knee, okay? So you can bend your knee. Well, the usual range of your knee is, I don't know, 160 degrees. And then you imagine you have a guy that, I can actually twist it like 250. I can twist my knee forward and backwards. Well, you've got a problem. Your knee is not more free because it can move more. Your knee actually cannot serve you for the purpose if your knee is not, or even worse, think of a bone. Okay, so imagine someone comes and says, well, I've got this bone, that actually it bends. Okay, it can bend like 100 degrees. Well, I'm sorry for you, right? For your bone fulfills its mission when it is not moving. Okay, otherwise it can hold. So freedom is not just the capacity to do more, the elasticity, choosing more, having more choice, giving you more freedom. Okay, but freedom is not absolute. Freedom has a frame where you act. Okay, and it has to do with the purpose. The purpose of the bone is not to be flexible, so it hasn't got more freedom for being flexible. Okay, so commandments are necessary. And some people think, well, how is it possible that God, he created the universe perfect, and the first thing he does is start putting norms. Okay, so this tree you can eat, this tree you cannot eat, and then this is the garden, and these are the limits. Why would God put limits to his children, right? Well, imagine, I always explain these things in the school because at the beginning, well, children love it. Imagine the school without teachers, right? At this point, you have all children just frantic, right? Imagine the school without teachers. Wouldn't it be fun? Well, you don't have timetable, you don't have to go to class, you just go to break, and the whole day is a break, okay? Break from teachers. So you go to school and there is no timetable, there is no anything. Well, it would be fun, but it will not be school. The purpose of the school is that you learn. You're not learning anything. There's no teachers, right? So it feels like I'm more free. Well, why did you join the school for the first thing? To learn something, right? Or to have fun, okay? So it will be great learning, having fun, but it doesn't happen. Usually you have fun and then you learn, all right? Or some of you maybe are familiar with those football matches that we play at school, but there was no lines, there was no goalpost, there was nothing. We didn't even have a ball. We were, kicking a can or something, right? But as soon as you agree, we are going to be playing football, the first thing you do is, so what are the rules? Okay, so there are 5 aside. So these 2 guys go to your team, these 2 guys to my team, and you distribute people so that someone cannot switch teams in the middle of the game. These will be the goals. Sometimes the goals is just 2 trees that are like 3 yards apart. Okay, well, that's the goal. Okay, you improvise the whole thing, but the first thing is you put some pitch to play football. If there is no rules, there is no game. Okay, as it happens when one of the kids will pick the ball with their hands and then start making fun, he'll destroy the match. He's not fulfilling the rules. All right, there is no fun anymore. Okay, unless you invent another game. which is rugby, and then you can play something else. Okay, so the commandments, like the norms in the school, are allowing you to fulfill the mission. The mission of the school is to teach. So I'm sorry, we need teachers and timetables and classrooms, right? Okay, so football, yeah, you need a referee, you need lines, you need a goal post, and you're going to be changing the goalposts, right? Or the traffic norms. What is the purpose of traffic lights? They put traffic lights everywhere, and it looks like they do it just with the only purpose of annoying me. I really think that they have cameras to check where am I, and start limiting my freedom to cross the roads or do the things that I want to do. Why do we have traffic lights? Well, the purpose of the roads is to allow everyone to get to the place where they want to go. You see that? They have the freedom to go where they want to go, and to allow everybody to go to the places they want to go and to reach the goal. We need to protect our roads with some norms. Okay, you follow the limitations, the speed limits and the signals, and you reach safe and healthy to your aim, to go. Okay, and so that all the other people in the road. Okay, so the law doesn't limit your freedom. The law is giving you the frame for your freedom. Okay, and so we need to accept that there are things that are as they are. In fact, we can get into this if you ask for questions, right? But the most important part of freedom is the freedom to accept the things as they are. For most things in your life, you don't have any saying on this. You don't choose your parents. You don't choose your age. You don't choose your sex. You don't choose anything. you have been born as you are, okay? Or you can have some, I don't know, aesthetic surgery and change a little bit the shape of your nose, but that is, all you can do, the things that you have, right? So the freedom to accept the norms of traffic, the freedom to accept the rules of the school or the rules of the game of football if you want to play, right? Acceptance is also an exercise of freedom. So freedom, you can also grow in freedom. How do we grow in freedom? Well, with practice of virtue, okay? So think now of people with skills, like football players. I don't know if you're very much into football. I'm always going for football because it's the easy thing for me, right? I mean, school for boys, Chaplin, and that's what they get, really. If my examples have no football, they don't follow, right? So if you think of Messi or Cristiano Ronaldo, you see, they decide where they're going to be shooting the ball, and they put the ball exactly where they want it. They decide where the pass is going to go, and the pass goes exactly to the place. Now I try to do the same thing, and my ball finishes, in the terraces or something. Right? Are they more free than I am to choose what to do with the ball? Well, certainly they are. How did they manage to get free, more free than I am, to put the ball where they want? Well, practicing. Or maybe the most important or significant example is the pianist. Okay, you give me a score and I don't even know how to read it. I don't know the notes. I don't know anything of music. I have other talents, not this one. Okay, so I don't even know how to play the piano. But he's a skillful pianist. He can play the same score in many different ways. He can choose even to improvise. Now I can play keys in the piano. I can play all the keys I want, as they want, when I want. I can play my own thing, but I'm not really playing music. So who is more free? The one who got the discipline to practice, okay? And I may feel free because I'm pressing keys and playing piano. I like to play this way. Well, that is not freedom to play the piano. The pianist has it. Or another example that has to do with both things, the norms and skills, which is English, right? Well, a few years ago, I didn't speak English. 9 years ago, in fact, I didn't speak English. So I couldn't express anything in English. So I wasn't free to express myself in English. Now that I learned the rules and the words and the grammar, then I'm free to express myself in English. Some of you, hopefully, are more free than I am expressing yourself in English. But you have been speaking this language since you were little children, right? And the more you know the grammar, the better you can speak and express, and the freer you are to express yourself in this language. Now, we're both using the same language, but you seem to be more free to express yourself, all right? Now, I can exercise this freedom, choosing the words I want to say, okay? The better way to express myself, and I may not respect the grammar. Or I could be using English with freedom, but if I don't follow the rules, that's not proper English, is it? Right? Or even I can choose wrong in purpose. So imagine that, first thing that you learn in all languages, foreign languages, swearing words. Okay, and sure enough, I learned all the swearing words before I came to the country. Now I can say swearing words in English. If you ask me, is that English? Well, that is English. Is that good English? I don't think so, right? So you are free to use English. Yeah. Are you using English properly? No. When we commit a sin, it's the same way, same thing. Are you free to choose? Yeah, I've chosen to commit a sin. Was that the right choice? No, it wasn't. It's a manifestation of my freedom, but it's not a good use of my freedom. Swearing words is a manifestation of my knowledge of English, but it's not a manifestation of good use of English, right? The same things happen with freedom. Okay, so we need to exercise this freedom. We need to practice this freedom. We still have that frame where we practice that freedom. And then the more you practice, the freer you are. Like a football player or a pianist. So the perfect freedom is to choose the good. And for that, we do need help, okay? So it's a freedom to choose, freedom to accept, like accepting your vocation or not, or accepting that, human beings do not fly, okay? Well, in some ways convinced, no, we can fly. Well, I'm sorry. The human beings don't fly. Well, we can pilot planes. Yeah, you can devise some thing to glide a little bit in the wind and do things, but we don't fly. And if someone has surgery to put some wings on his back, but it's not going to work. And if he lives frustrated all his life because why God didn't make me an eagle, well, it's unfortunate that you don't accept the reality. You are not an eagle, and much better than you are not an eagle. But you could fly, but you couldn't speak. You couldn't love. You couldn't even have a house, right? You need to be living in the peaks. So, it's a good thing that you are what you are. So accepting the things that we have to do is also freedom. I have fulfilled my duties. The story that I told at the beginning, some people have been joining afterwards. So young people were asking St. John Paul II, what do you do with your free time? And St. John Paul II replied, all my time is free. Everything I'm doing, I'm doing because I want it. I love what I'm doing. When you love what you do, you're absolutely free. And remember, love is a choice, not a feeling. I don't feel I'm loving my books. No, but you can choose to love the subject. Is when you're passionate about something. One of the most beautiful things that I heard about another priest, and they were telling the story. This priest changed parish. He went to another parish, and it happens you arrive new parish, and everyone scrutinizing you. What sort of priest is this? And so he was observed by the crowds, all the things he was doing at the beginning, and then people start chatting. It shouldn't happen, but sometimes it happens. Gossiping. So, what do you think about the priest, right? And one of the ladies said this. I love this priest. And someone asked why, and she said, because you can tell he loves being a priest. That is the content of your freedom. To love to do what you do, to love to be who you are, and you need to love that by accepting it and then deciding to love it. Love the right thing is the perfect exercise of freedom. To fulfill my duties and do it with love. It sometimes may be painful, hard at times to fulfill my duties, but it always feels great, doesn't it? And we have done the right things, even if it was a nuisance or it was difficult. Why does it feel well? It feels great because your freedom was used in the proper way, right? So free to love what you do. And then going on this virtue thing. So the virtuoso, someone who is free to play the piano or to play an instrument. Freedom to do the right thing with the keys of the piano, not just to press keys, random keys, okay? Or the football player, he can put the ball where he decides. Some other people, they have other talents. You got the freestyle football guy. He can do loads of, jugglery with the ball, but he cannot play football. Other skills, you and I choose our own skills by practicing. Now, the freedom to decide what you do with your life and the freedom to achieve what you have decided. So you imagine that someone decides to, I want to become a medical doctor, okay? That's what I decided when I was 18, right? And so what do I have to do to become a medical doctor? We might have to study hard, okay? That's where I lost all my hair, right? Studying medicine, for 6 years is what it takes in Spain, plus a PhD. I lost everything, even my eyebrows, right? But, what does it take to become a medical doctor? You really need to be determined. Because when you go back home, you still have your TV there and the fridge and, a PlayStation, some friends or flatmates. People go, hey, why don't we go out and binging Netflix or something? You feel those temptations as well. And if the guy, eventually does that, he spends the whole afternoon watching videos on YouTube. Well, great. You may have done what you wished, but you didn't do what you wanted. Freedom is to do what you want, not what you wish. Okay, the freedom to do the right thing. I decided to study. I wanted to study, and I didn't manage. Or to follow a diet, another classic example, right? I decided I'm going to follow a diet. This is the time. Right, I'm really going to do it. This time is going to work, right? And then, you go to the kitchen and it's full of food. As it happens in kitchens, right? That's where you keep the food. So you go there and, oh dear, I didn't know we bought this. Or sometimes someone else is cooking, you smell it and, oh my goodness, I'm going to start a diet tomorrow, right? Yeah. So you start eating whatever, on the third donut you are eating, then you realize, I didn't want to do this, right? I've done what I didn't want to do. Or, someone has decided to do exercise and then the following morning you get out and how many people join the gym just for fun because they never go there, right? Yeah. Or, how many people start playing piano? In my case, I really find it funny when people say, no, I'm learning Spanish. And then I say 3 words in Spanish and you realize that you don't get it. I don't know who's your teacher in Spanish, but he or she may be frustrated because you're not learning a thing, all right? Now, what do you want to do? Freedom is to get to do what you want, not just what you wish, right? And so for that, we hit now the passion, freedom and passion, which is the other point I wanted to talk. What is a passion? So, we do have passions. We're passionate about doing something, right? You feel passionate about, I need to check the times because as I told you, I can speak for England. Right, so you can be passionate about, it is great if you were passionate about studying medicine because that will give you the success that you need to achieve your goal. Okay, you can be passionate about fitness. Okay, well, it may assure that you're going to be fit. But a passion should attract you to the proper good, but it doesn't happen always like that. Our passion, you see, God didn't put passions in human beings to put some sort of trap to see, let's say they can get through this. I'm going to put them passions, disordered passions, right? Well, God didn't put passions to make our life difficult, but the opposite. He gave us passions so that we could follow the good with more ease. Now, obviously, our passions are disordered, but if the passions were in their own place, you will feel the passion to do the right thing all the time. So passions are those things that you feel and you don't choose. So the usual way a passion happens is you first of all, a physical reality impacts your senses. Okay, so you smell it, the food, or you see the beer, chilled and perfect, right? So first thing, you see the object, you feel the object. The second thing is you evaluate, and you feel like, this is interesting, or the opposite. So you can have a passion of hatred, rejection as well, right? So that's the second movement. First movement, you feel it. The second movement, you evaluate. And then the third movement is the internal movement towards it or against it. I love it or I hate it. Okay? Now, you don't choose those things. These things happen, like the example of the beer, for those who like beer, right? Like me. Okay? So in a hot summer day, you're thirsty. And then you see one of those beers that, the drops of water around the bottle, like, dropping down, and you feel like, oh my goodness, this is gonna be it. Okay, heaven on earth right now. So you evaluate. First of all, you see the beer. Secondly, you evaluate and you feel like this is it. I really need not just to drink, but to drink beer right now, right? Or Coke, or whatever. In fact, your body, there's a response on the body. You start secreting saliva. You feel like this beer is gonna be drunk in a second, right? And so you have the passion, desire. You desire it. Well, so far you haven't had any choice. So far it's all just impacting you, right? And it can happen with anything, any passion. Like it can happen with a beautiful girl. Okay, so you see a beautiful girl and she is attractive. All right, they are attractive, and so before you even think about anything, you realize. You evaluate, this is an attractive girl, evaluation. You first saw her, and then you feel the attraction, and then you feel the passion. And then you choose. Here's where freedom comes. Then you choose. I'm not gonna drink this beer right now. I'm not gonna eat this cake, or I'm not gonna look at this woman anymore, right? This is where freedom kicks. So you see, it could be the opposite. Okay, you can see a girl that it just gets on your nerves. Okay, so the passion is not love, is hatred, but the passion is still anonymous. I mean, you didn't choose this passion; it just happens to be, right? Okay, so passion is involuntary. What we do with the passion is freedom. Okay, passion, it compels to action. Okay, so this passion is asking you, is moving you towards or against something, is moving you. Okay, we're not choosing it, but it moves you. And because they are not perfect, because of sin, we need to fight against it sometimes. Or you have the passion of anger, for instance. People understand the control on this one. Self-control in all passions, right? Self-control and anger. When people cannot contain their anger. Sometimes you see people driving that, I don't know, they are possessed by the devil or something. Hey, I just made a mistake. I'm sorry, right? Don't kill me yet, right? Or the attraction, all these passions, they were meant by God to help us choose the good things. They are disordered. So now we have freedom. We need to train our passions, okay? But we do feel these passions. I usually ask also in the school, young boys and children, do you think that I have temptations against holy purity? And silence. No one dares to say anything, I don't want to offend this priest, right? Do you think that this priest has temptations against purity? There's tension there, and most times the first in replying says no, right? Because they feel like, you probably have conquered everything, you're an angel right now. Angels in Kazakh, right? Well, I'm sorry to disappoint you, but I do have temptations about everything right now. You feel temptations, but what do I do when I have temptations? Well, what I expect my dad to do when he has temptations, right? So he has a passion. He may see the same attractive woman I see, and he may do the same thing I do. Now, the proper way this passion should be, it should be that my dad has a passion for my mom only. He would be so passionate for my mom that he doesn't feel any other temptation. He is conflicting, right? Well, that would be probably the theory of the passions, but since they are disordered, then we need to fight. And this internal division, it has to be dealt with, right? Anyway, the problem of passions, if you understand them, is that they, how can my body ask something that is not good for me? Well, because the passion is myope. The passion only sees the proper good, okay? My thirst only sees if I'm thirsty. It doesn't see the whole picture, okay? My hunger or my taste only sees the cake. It doesn't see my general purpose of keeping to a diet, right? And so passions are, very short-sighted, and we have reason. Pope St. John Paul II, he deals with this a lot. Reason. The reason to put passions in the proper place, to use our passions for our own benefits. For we can also use our passions to do the right things. Passion sometimes that we need, anger, to get yourself out of bed. Sometimes you see these things in people who struggle to get out of bed, temptation of laziness. And then the passion, I'm getting out of bed. Well, that's a good use of your passion. Go out, or going for a run and getting fit. Sometimes you need to, hold on this passion. Anyway, so as I say, I can go on and on. I don't know if hopefully you do have questions, because otherwise I can be hitting on things that I were not really interested on. Okay, so let's see if you manage to get some interesting questions there that you may want to ask.
Father, thank you for that. It was really great. Well, before we go through the comment questions, I have a question myself. You mentioned that you can decide to love what you do. How do you choose what you love? If you don't love your job, or you don't love your studies, how can you choose to love them?
Well, first of all, you have a choice, the freedom of choice to choose your job, hopefully, right? Okay, so if you are working on something that you hate, we do have a problem. But as it happens very often, the more you know about something, the more you start liking it. It happens like social skills. You sometimes find in the school boys that are not very socially active. Well, that's a lack of practice. That's because you are uncomfortable in social situations. Why don't you try to practice this? And then they start getting into it, like maths. I hate maths. Some boys may say, and then they start learning, and then they realize, I do like maths now. So about jobs or many other things, when we start knowing more about things, you start liking it. And again, you are free to, or same thing with people. You may have someone that she gets on my nerves. I know you in person, and she lives at home because it's my sister, right? Or whatever, right? So not easy to get rid of this person right now. You can still choose if you want to love more this person, okay? Because the choice is by actions. When Jesus says, love your enemies, for instance, he's not saying, well, go and kiss your enemy, right? But he's asking you, treat your enemies with love. And when you start treating your enemies with love, you're loving them, regardless of the passion that you have behind, because every time you see that person, you still feel like her, right? And your blood pressure goes up. Okay, you don't control that, but you still can act with love and charity with your enemy, and you are loving. Okay, so same with work, same with anything. You love with your actions. Okay.
Yeah. Fantastic answer. Thank you. Going to the comment section here. Frank Spencer says, Father, how can you do things freely when you don't feel like doing them? What a wonderful testimony. Praise the Lord. I guess that's kind of similar to the question I just asked. But how can you do things freely when you don't feel like doing them?
Choosing it. Okay. So Frank Spencer may be a wise guy who knows already the reply to these things. Okay. But you choose with your freedom. When you choose to love something, okay, in your actions, you choose to behave with a particular thing or particular person the best way you can, okay? As a lovely person would. How would someone who loves this person treat this person? The same do I. How would someone who loves this job do this work? The same I try to do, right?
Another question from me, hitting a kind of hot topic, I guess. You mentioned most things in your life aren't chosen by ourselves, our parents, our situation, you're just born into your family. And it also made me think of, you're born into your sex and you have to accept what your sex, and the whole issue of transgender.
Mm-hmm.
It can be very difficult to explain to people that, you are who you're meant to be. How can you lovingly tell someone that they will achieve a greater freedom if they accept who they are, rather than changing themselves physically?
Well, that's the thing, is part of the whole pressure that society is giving on many people to be like other people. And so some people, they freely choose to live frustrated, And there are many things that you may feel like, why are you frustrated about that? Okay, well, for him or for her, this is a big deal. Okay, so what do we need to tell them? What do you say to someone who has lack of confidence in themselves? Hey, you're not doing that bad. You're doing very well. Yeah, actually, pretty. You are clever, or you are smart, or you are. What do you say? Listen, now you can have people who are frustrated because I know I'm short. Okay, I wanted to be very tall and I'm short. As it happens with myself. That's what I always give my talks sitting down, right? Okay, so I can live my life frustrated all my life because I'm short. Now, do you think the rest of the people care? And then we come, listen, Father George, it's fine. Just get some thicker shoes or something, and that's it, right? It's not a problem, okay? But because you spend your life seeing models, and then you feel like those are the real deal. How would a woman look like? And then you see those pictures. How would a man look like? And you spend your life seeing other people, and then you are frustrated because you are not other people. Okay, so most of the time, this frustration is not from comparing ourselves with other people, and we are not other people.
Yeah. Another great answer, thank you. Looking at the comments again, Brian Smith says, dearest Father, I recently read your book on vocation. Could you talk about your discernment and how we should all discern? May God bless your ministry. Well, I guess that's quite an open-ended question, so you can choose how to answer it more specifically.
Okay, I can just call Brian Smith and explain him everything, right? But that it goes to the core of what I said. You don't choose your vocation. You accept your vocation. Acceptance is a great expression of freedom. Okay, so that's why you cannot negotiate your vocation with God. Like, I don't really like this vocation. Can I get another one? God doesn't got plan B. He made you for something and he's expecting you to do that something. Now, he obviously can adapt his plan. If you don't follow your vocation, he can adapt the plan to give you something. But still, the best version of yourself will always be to follow your vocation. Okay, so the discernment of our vocation will always be personal conversation with God when you pray, and then you see your talents. Why did God do me the way he did me? Why am I like this? What are my talents? Why am I doing? What things can I give to the world? Everything that God has put in, in your software is because he needs it. Okay, you see all that, and then with generosity, you ask our Lord, just give me light, and you realize, okay, he's expecting. You always, and it always stays in your personal relationship with God. So, you can always say, well, I didn't see my vocation, and no one will know except God and yourself. Well, and all the saints in heaven and all the angels in heaven, Holy Souls in purgatory, and we when we get there. So in the end, we will all know, and we got there, and he will tell you, hey, so we were missing a priest in this parish, and it was you. Right? Yeah, I'm sorry, I just didn't like it. Okay. So yeah, the personal discernment and the story of vocations, they are all more or less the same thing. Someone has the courage to put himself in front of the tabernacle and pray, and with honesty, you ask God, what you want me to do? And there is none single one who didn't get a reply.
Yeah. Another question for myself. You mentioned, like for example, with the piano, anyone can just sit there and hit the keys, but you have to train to actually be able to achieve a nice sound. Is there some kind of a sacrifice linked to freedom? Are we born free, or do we become more free by learning to do more things, by kind of training ourselves,
Yeah, freedom is a conquest. I mean, we are born without any freedom. Okay, we cannot even control when we go to the toilet. And so it takes a long while for you to gain that freedom, to decide when you want to go, or when you want to get up, when you want to go to bed, instead of having your sleeping patterns all messed up, and your families as well. Okay. So the conquest starts from the very beginning, and it's your mom who's teaching you, well, now it's night, now you go to bed. Well, at least she tries. Yeah, little by little, you get control of your body, and then you get control of your virtue, and everything else is all practice, virtuous practice. Okay, no, I was born lazy. No, no one is born lazy. I mean, we were all born lazy. Okay, we were spending like 18 hours sleeping first day. Okay, and we could carry on if we weren't hungry, right? And then little by little, you overcome your laziness. Well, some people never manage, but because they didn't try. Okay, so that is how virtue in self-control. So it's practice, practice, practice. You become more free when you can do more things more easily. Okay, so yeah, the thing on laziness. Someone has difficulties with getting up in the mornings. Well, when you practice the virtue, there's a moment when you don't even choose to get up. The alarm goes off and you're up. There is no struggle. There is no decision even for the decision you made it long time ago. I want to get out of bed exactly when the alarm goes off. Okay? And then virtue makes your free actions reality, even without you having to make a decision every time. As when you drive the car and you don't need to think about changing gears. It becomes second nature, right?
Okay. Yeah, I think that's seeing freedom as a conquest is kind of I think it is very true, but it's also very countercultural, because people think you're born free and then society oppresses you more and more throughout your life. Whereas the reality is you become more free throughout your life as you're able to make more decisions and do more things, and become more in charge of
and make personal decisions as well. Because some people think they are free because they choose things, but many times they choose just the 3 options they have been given. The life of most of the boys of the school is you go to a primary school and then you choose a secondary school. You choose a secondary school and then you choose a few subjects. You choose a few subjects and then you choose your university degree. Then you get into the university you can get, and then you get the master you can get, and then you choose a job that you have been offered. You have 3 offers, you choose one, right? And so, eventually your life is just carry on, mate. You're just going through this road and suddenly, well, there is a fork. Okay, I choose the 3rd one. And now there's another fork. Listen, why didn't you plan your journey before? Instead of just going along the path and then choosing as I go. Most people, they don't know what they want to do with lives. You ask them, where do you see yourself in 20 years' time? They don't have a clue, right? Well, that means you're not planning anything. Someone else may be planning your life. Okay? Conquer your freedom and decide your own life by yourself, right? That's the conquest.
Yeah, and then there's actually something you can do about that instead of sitting there and thinking and complaining that everyone else has, made your decisions for you or whatever. Like, you can't sit there and complain that everyone else has made your decisions for you when you can't even get yourself out of bed in the morning or
you eventually don't do what you wanted to do because you didn't have the strength to do it. But this is the discourse. Everyone wants to talk about freedom, and freedom is a very popular thing. We want more freedom. But what do you want it for? What are you going to be doing with it, right? And some people, they don't make decisions because they want to be free. You see, every time you make a decision, you are deciding not to do many other things. When a man decides to marry a woman, well, he has decided to leave 6 billion out of the picture, right? Okay, well, it's a big decision, right? When you choose, you're choosing by yourself, leaving many other things outside. And that's my decision forever. And you can make decisions for life, absolutely free. And freely keep your decision, okay? Because if you're changing your decision every single day, you haven't decided yet. Like a football player is changing teams every day. Yeah, because no, I want to score. So if I closer to this goal, I score in this goal. You didn't get the game, right? Okay. Some people, they feel free because I can leave my wife and get another one. Listen, you cannot give yourself to anyone else because you gave it already, right? It's like, I have my sandwich and then I share it with you. And then suddenly in the middle of the sandwich, I say, hey, give it back that I want to share with someone else. Then you go to someone else, listen, I want to share my sandwich. I'm sorry, that is just half a sandwich. Someone else is biting it, right? Okay, yeah, you're not free to share your sandwich anymore. You gave it, right? And do I need to accept now what I chose? Well, you should have done your choice in the presence of God and you wouldn't be wrong. And if you weren't wrong then, you're not wrong now when you carry on, okay? For tough times, they come for everybody, okay? And that's when you test how free you are to follow your decisions.
Yeah, I really like that analogy with, when a man picks his wife, he's saying no to the other, every single other woman in the world. I've kind of used that analogy before with my faith when people say like, oh, but doesn't Christianity give you all these limits? And it's that I've said, well, you can see it as the list of negatives, or you can see it as it's a yes every day to God, instead of it being a no to all the things that you shouldn't do. It's just a yes to everything that you should be doing.
This is
yes to God.
Passion that people have for not having any limitations. If there were no roads, I could drive my car anywhere. Okay. Well, actually, you couldn't drive your car anywhere if there were no roads. Okay. No, I can turn here because there's a house. Yeah, that's why you need to follow the road and go around the house. Okay. Or the building or the traffic lights or whatever. Okay. Now I want a world without roads so I can ride anywhere. You're not riding anywhere. Okay. And so you feel, I want the freedom of not having to follow the roads. That's not freedom at all. You are free to do nothing right now. Okay. You have your car and no roads. Right? So many people are advocating for freedom, having more freedom. I want to be more free. So keep the boundaries, keep everything. We don't want, it's a football pitch, keep the sidelines. We don't want the lines. We don't want limitations. Keep the referee, kick him out, right? Kick the ball out as well. So what do we do now? Right? A picnic, right? Invite some cows and have a picnic there.
Yeah, it's like what you were saying, you have to play by the rules of the game, otherwise it's all meaningless. Flo has a question.
I do. So earlier you said freedom is the right to do what we want at the very beginning. What would you say to, because obviously I feel like every choice that we make, there is a right and a wrong when it comes to God, because yes, we're saying we need to say yes to God, but again, this is another hot topic. When it comes to same-sex attraction as per se, some people might say that I have the freedom to express whatever attraction I feel. So what would you say to that as such?
The same thing. Freedom is not absolute, and we all have our limitations that we haven't chosen. You see, if I have an attraction for a woman, and I just say, well, she is attractive and she actually likes me as well, so I can just go and we live together, right? Okay, so what's the problem here? The problem is I have chosen to give my life to God first. Okay, so I was free to ruin my whole plan of life. I'm absolutely free to do that. But the fact that I feel like that doesn't make it just. Then it may happen that this woman is married and I'm destroying another one's family. Then maybe this woman has children. No, but I have the freedom to express my love the way I want. Well, I'm sorry, but I have some duties of justice, and she does have some duties of justice with her husband and children. So I'm sorry, we're not free to have this romance right now, right? Okay, so try to find other ways to follow with your life. Okay, so we are not free to do whatever we feel just because we love each other. A man loves a woman. The man is married, the woman is married. The man has children with another lady, and the woman has children with another man. I'm sorry, but you do have some duties here, okay? So you're absolutely free to do whatever you like with your lives. But you cannot just say that because we love each other, we can do anything, okay? There are limitations. There are things that not even, out of, and then we could have another talk about if that is love or it's just sex attraction. Because if it is sex attraction, well, listen, I have beer attraction, and I have, garden attractions, and I have, of course,
all of my brothers and my dad all have the same beer attraction.
Yeah.
Maybe we need a talk just on that next time, actually.
That's the thing. Okay, so what do I do when I have that attraction? Well, I still have my reason and my freedom, so I can decide when it is the right thing to do, to drink a beer, and when it's not. Okay, so not every passion that I feel is right. Okay, that's where freedom comes.
Thank you. It's awesome. I do just have one more question.
All right.
Would you be happy to give us another talk? Because I just thought this talk was absolutely thrilling, and from the comments I've seen and personal message from other students I have seen this, I think they've also benefited from this talk, and it's fantastic. So if you don't mind, would you want to do this again perhaps next semester? On another
we can try, yeah, we can arrange something, no problem.
Perfect.
Flo hasn't put you on the spot at all there, Father,
Well.
Okay, I'm still free to accept or reject.
Free to answer, though.
You're free to object if you wish to.
Okay.
Thank you so much, Father.
My pleasure.
So much.
Okay, then.
Thank you to everyone who's joined. We've had about 10 people more or less throughout, but this will go on the CSN's YouTube channel and stay there forever, so people can come back to this if they
don't worry. You've not missed, you won't, if you think you've missed anything, you haven't missed anything. The talk will be saved straight after this live chat, live YouTube. It will be on our YouTube page, so it is there for you. The content is there. Do give it a listen anytime.
You're totally free to go back and give it a listen. Exercise your freedom.
Love that.
Thank you so much, Father.
Good, my pleasure.
God bless, and it would be wonderful to have another talk from you next term. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you for